Hi guys, welcome back to the screencast tutorial series. My name is Corey Simmons, and in this final lesson in our series we're going to build an entire site from the ground up using the features we've learned about in the previous tutorials.
First I want to show you the site we're making, and then we'll go through and actually make it. So here we've got the nav bar that we went over. We've got like the standard navigation up here. I've changed the background color to this and changed the background color on these hovers. And then we've got like this block here. If you click on it, it just does like some cool CSS animation stuff where it'll scale out and set the opacity down to nothing. Whenever you click one, and whenever you click the other one, it comes back in. And we're using Gumby's toggles to do that. And then we've also got the parallax background going on here. Yeah. All right. And then we also have the skip link stuff. So that's pretty nice. All right. So without further ado, we will go into an empty folder. The only thing this folder has in it are some images here. I've got these 3 coffee images that I got from Death to Stock. If you go and just Google Death to Stock, it's like a company in Columbus or something that helps out Columbus startups, but they also take pictures like once a month of just like a theme, and this theme happened to be like a coffee shop. So that's what we're going to use, these beautiful images that they send to your email once a month for our demo here. So alright, that's the only thing I have in that folder. So first we need to do the Claymate install. I'm going to run through this kind of quick because we've already went over all these tools. So right here it says, you know, do you want to overwrite stuff? So like if you already have like some folders and stuff in there that may be overwritten, you might not want to do it this way. But I know that that materials folder isn't going to be overwritten, so I'm going to go ahead. And you can see all the folders popping up here. Oops. Yeah, so there we go. You can see all these folders popping up in there. And now let's just go ahead and grab those images real quick so we don't have to worry about this. And we'll copy those over to our image folder. Okay. And now let's open this up in Sublime Text 2. And yeah, this is our project. So we'll call this Gumby Coffee. Be the title of our page, right? We'll open it up over here, and we'll navigate to our local host. Okay. So first things first, let's do some configuration, like where we open up Gumby JSON, and we'll take all these modules and put them into Gumby JSON so that we can do our Claymate build, and it'll minify all that stuff for us. So two modules. Remember, it's not curly braces, it's an array. And then each module. So each module that we're going to use. So we're going to use the fixed one for our fixed navigation. Skip link. So let's just start filling these in. Fixed. Skip link. We're going to use toggle switch. And navbar. Okay, and now we can just delete all that stuff right there. Whenever we do the Gumby build, it's going to create this Gumby min file, so we'll uncomment that. And it's not in libs, so we'll just delete libs. Whenever it creates it, it actually creates it and puts it in the JS folder. So yeah. So now we've got that, let's save. And we're also going to be using parallax, so remember the way to install that is to do bower install parallax, and then we wait, and we wait. Alright, so now we've got parallax installed under bower components. Oops, I got the wrong one. This is just normal parallax. So let's just delete that entire folder. We need to get Gumby parallax. Sorry. Alright, so there we go. Now we got Gumby parallax. Alright, so now that's an add-on or an extension. They're synonymous. So let's go to add-ons. Again, it's an array, not curly braces, and we'll say, and this one you have to use the path. So this is Bower components, Gumby parallax, Gumby.parallax.js. Alright, now let's do our Claymate build. Alright, so we've got all the stuff that we want, none of the stuff that we don't, and it's all in this little Gumby.min file that just got generated. Okay, so one other thing, we need to remember to import this Gumby parallax SAS file. So step back a directory and then go back into Bower components, Gumby parallax _ parallax dot sassy. Alright, so now we're done with the whole Gumby parallax folder and all of our Bower components. We got everything all set up. Now we need to do a compass watch. Alright, now we're ready to edit our so we can close out our Gumby JSON file. Alright. So first off, we've got a nav bar up here. So the way I like to do the nav bars is just go to documentation, UI kit, click on navigation, and just come down here and copy the nav bar and just paste it in there. And then we save, refresh, and see. We're getting a busted image there, so I'm just going to steal their image and hot link to it because I'm a bad person. And we'll save and refresh. Alright, so now we want it to go the full width of the screen. So what we need to do, and this is kind of like a trick with like anytime you want something to go full width but you want your content to be centered, what you do is you set your content to like a certain max width and give it the margin auto on each side, and then the container to that you don't give any width, so it just goes full width. It's like a CSS 101, but it's still a pretty cool thing to know. So we need to get rid of row right there. Once we get rid of the class of row, it goes full width, and then we need to put the class of row inside of that, because that's what row does. It gives you like a max width and then margin on each side. And we're not using the semantic grid stuff right now, just because I don't want to go through here and replace all that right this second, to be honest. And we'll get rid of the pretty styling, so that goes all flat. Cool. Next, we want to add our first parallax, first bit of parallax stuff in there. So we'll say, remember we have to give it the class of parallax, so parallax, and then we need to say Gumby parallax equals, and then we set how fast we want it to scroll. Okay. So if we save that, and we just got an empty div right there, and then let's give it HTML height of 2000, just so that we can actually scroll something, and then we'll say parallax background URL, step back a folder, go into images, and then I've got these coffee 1, 2, and 3 JPEGs. And sometimes Emmet will do that for you. And then we want to say no repeat, and then save. And we're not getting anything because this needs a height, sorry. And refresh. Alright. So now we're just making sure that the parallax stuff is working. Alright. So the way to get this to stretch full screen is to do background size cover. And then refresh a bunch. Alright. So now it's full screen. We've got this gap under here. If we right click on it and inspect it, we can see that it's actually the nav bar is given a margin bottom. So if we just come in here and say navbar margin bottom 0. That'll get rid of that. All right, so let's go ahead and fix our navigation up here as well. So we can do that two ways. We can either just apply the class of fixed, and now it's fixed, or if you want to get some practice in with fixed positions, then you can say Gumby fixed top. So we'll just do that. Gumby fixed equals top. We'll save. Come back here and refresh. All right, so it's still fixed. Good. Okay, so now on this page we've got like some content here in the middle, like centered, and we want to do that over here. And we're actually using margins on this element, like margin top and margin bottom, which is stretching out that container. So let's put an actual element inside there first, okay? So we'll just say something with the block class, right? So there's a div called block. And we'll say block background white, and we'll make this a row. So @include row. And that's going to give it the max width and the margin auto. That's all row does. So we'll get rid of height over there in parallax, and we'll set it over here. And refresh a bunch, and now we've got this this div right here. So let's put some margin on the top and the bottom of it. So we'll say maybe 200 pixels on the top and bottom, and then we need to specify auto again to make sure that it centers. All right, so now we have a problem, and it's pushing off of the parent element up here. So the way to fix that is to nest another element inside of that. So let's see. We'll say nested. Type nested in it, and we'll give nested a background of red just so we can see what's going on, and we'll change the background of block to blue so we can like clearly see what's going on with everything. Okay, so now let's try to give nested a margin top and bottom. See what happens. All right, so you see that. And if we get rid of the height on block there, just refresh a bunch. All right, so now we've got this centered, somewhat centered. It's still like where this is fixed now. Whatever the height of this, we need to add to the top margin. So that's 60 pixels. So we'll say 260, 200 pixels. So it'll push 260 off the top and 200 off the bottom. And now that's perfectly centered in there, right? Okay, so let's make it even taller, actually, because we want this to be like almost full screen. So we'll say, or even full screen, who cares? Say 460 off the top and 400 off the bottom. All right, so let's get rid of this background blue here. And let's give nested background of a bunch of Fs. All right, and now if we want to get this this cool like little transparent border, the best way to do that, I think, is to again nest again. So we'll say nested again. All right. And we're going to rename these, don't worry. But right now I'm just doing this so you can kind of see exactly what's going on. So let's change nested to red, or change it back to red there. And we'll change nested again to blue. Okay. And if we give nested again some padding of, say, oops. My phone is, all right. So All right, so cool. Now if we give nested padding of 30 pixels, right? Now we've got that red border around the outside. And if we change that to RGBA 255, 255, 255, that's saying red, green, blue, we all want to be full color, and that'll make it white. And then the A stands for alpha channel, so that's how we control the transparency. So then we can say 0.25, and now we get like a 25% white, see? And let's bring that down a little bit, and also let's give this a border radius of about 30 pixels. All right, now for our nested again thing, let's give this a height just so we can see what's going on, and a background of white, and a border radius of 30 pixels. Refresh a bunch. All right. So now this is like down there way too far. Let's bump this up a little bit, and we'll put it, try 260 by 200 again. See how that looks. All right, that looks a lot better, and we'll bring it down even further actually. So we'll say 240, and then remember we needed this number to be 60 pixels bigger than this number, so we'll say 240 by 180. That should be right. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, maybe we'll even bump it off the bottom just a little bit more, just for visual effect. All right, yeah, just make it look good. Okay, now you'll notice the this inner border radius is a little sharper than this outer one. So, or it's a little more rounded, I guess, than this outer one. So we need to round this inner one less so that it looks right. So we'll just try 20. There's actually some math behind this, like where you can subtract like the width of the padding or whatever, like divided by half or something. I don't know. But I just kind of eyeball and do it until like it looks like kind of close to right. But there's actually math involved in it, so you can Google that and up your game. And then we'll give this a padding of, let's say like 60. So it's like nice and padded off of there. And we'll give it text align center. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Let's get rid of the height here. All right, that looks great. So now, like I said, we'll go change the names of these, and let's just make it like more semantic, I guess. So we'll say that this div with the class of parallax is actually a section. And then inside that, we can say translucent border will be the div inside of that. And since it's just like a presentational thing, we can just use a div. We don't need to get like all semantic about it. And then this thing on the inside, this should probably be like an article. So say article. Oh wait, which one? Yeah, you see how quickly it get messed up. Block. So block was the thing that was just a container for our thing that did the margins. Yeah, we'll say margins. Screw it. This way we know what's going on. So container, margins, section, parallax, which is basically just the background. Since that's a presentational thing, we'll just say div as well. Sorry, I'm not very decisive. Okay, so we've got our container, we've got our margins. This thing should be an article, since it's actually going to be like text and stuff. And we will say, let's put an H1 in there. Actually, we'll put a header and then an H1. We'll say just hello Gumby. And then we'll put some lipsum in there. Okay. Now we can get rid of some of these, this article class here. And, yeah, we'll leave those other ones just so you can kind of keep up with what's going on. What was that? Container. Margins. And then this one was the article underneath margins. So since we can nest in SAS, that makes this easy. There. So now it's going to say margins article, but you know that. Okay. So now if we refresh, everything seems to be working fine. Great. So now what we need to do is copy those a few times. So first let's get rid of the space, all these spaces, just so it's more compact. Okay, and get rid of that one too. And we'll just duplicate that twice. So we'll say 1 hello Gumby, 2 hello Gumby, 3 hello Gumby. 1, 2, 3. Boom. All right. So now we need some way to define this parallax div differently in each of these, so that we can specify a different background image. So for maybe the first one, we'll give it an ID of 1, and this will help us out whenever we do the fixed nav stuff, since we're using IDs. This one we use an ID of 2. And the last one, you guessed it, 3. Okay. So now we can go over into our stylus, and let's just bump that up there. We'll say, let's get rid of that one completely, and just say backgrounds, repeat, no. And now we can do like the nested selector thing again and say and, which will just say parallax, and then 1. So whenever that gets rendered out to CSS, it's going to say parallax 1. Okay. So in that div, we want a background image of our components. No, we don't. What am I doing? Background image of image. Sorry, the background image of copy 1. Okay. Now, should be able to duplicate that twice. Say 2. Say 3. 2, 3. Now we refresh a bunch. Compass watch is slow. All right. So now we've got our cool stuff there. Now, once we get down to the bottom, we can see like, we don't like that. But let's go ahead and change our navbar opacity so we can see just how far we have to push this up to get that off our screen. So navbar, if we right click on it, inspect elements, this is just like your basic CSS overriding stuff, which you should be super comfortable with. And if you're not, pay attention. So I just inspected that, found out what color it was, or yeah, what the background color was and everything, and then changed it. Now I want that to be a little bit darker, and I don't want to keep going into compass watch and waiting, so I'll just come over here, and now I know I want it to be 7.5. Okay, so that's black, 75%. All right. You'll notice up there at the top, hang on, let me inspect this quick. Oh, background repeat, no, I think it should be none. Background repeat, hang on. Let's check W3 schools, because, it's a good place. Inherited, no. Wait, what? Repeat, no repeat. Okay, so you have to say no repeat, which is what you have to do. Oh, okay, I'm stupid. Sorry, because I write that like 50 times a day. I say like no repeat in the shorthand version, but for some reason it didn't click. Okay, so no repeat. My bad, guys. Okay. So now we can see up here that it's not repeating, but we can also see there's a big gap up there, and we don't want that. So first thing we should probably do is just go ahead and stretch these out a little bit just by giving them some more margin on top and bottom. So maybe 340 by 300. And then now whenever we go all the way down, we can see it's covered up. But still, up here at the very top, it's still messed up. So what we can do is go into these parallax, these divs, and give it another attribute called Gumby Offset. And that's about like 30 pixels, say. So we'll say 30. And it didn't get all of it, so let's say maybe 60. And that looks pretty good. And just to make sure there's not like 1 or 2 pixels that are showing, I'll say 64 or something like that. And there, you see where it breaks apart right there. We don't want our parallax to do that. Like it's a bad thing for parallax to do. So maybe we should go through and apply this Gumby offset to all of these. Maybe that'll fix it. Just save. It did. Yay. All right. So that's what Gumby Offset does. It gets rid of those like little gaps for you. I want to bring this up a little bit because I still feel like there's too much room up there. So we'll go set the margin down a little bit. Maybe just a 300. We'll do 300 on both sides, on the top and bottom. And just forget about that whole navbar. Just do it so it looks good. Heck, I still want it to be a little bit taller, or a little bit closer to the top. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, good. So that's pretty centered to me. Like it's centered in this area, I guess, to me, to my eye. I noticed while I'm hovering over this, we don't need a drop down for anything. We don't have all that. So first, let's just get rid of that drop down div right there. We'll bring this list item over. Same with that one. Now, let's just change this to 1, 2, trace. All right, so now like whenever we hover over it though, like it's a weird color. And just from experience, I know that whenever we go to apply these skip links, which do that thing like where it slides, you see? Like, and these over here are also skip links. Just because I know that it's gonna, that we have to do this, and that it's gonna affect the colors anyway, the background colors anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and show you this. We need to apply a skip link to the containers of these anchors, not to the anchors themselves, but to their containers. And it's like that in a lot of Gumby, where you have to apply classes and stuff to containers of things. And to be honest, like I'm not super fond of that, and I hope that like something changes with that, because I wish that you could just like, you didn't have to use list items, you could just apply a skip link to an actual link. I'm sure there's a good reason for it, but I think it'd be nicer if it wasn't like that. So anyway, that's just my personal opinion. So let's say Gumby go to, and then ID of 1. Yeah, it's just like one of the few complaints I actually have about Gumby. But I mean, like once we get done with this site, like you'll see how fast we made this really cool site that could easily be like, like a web agency or something's actual portfolio site. Oops, that's not our site. This one's our site. We'll go ahead and close that out because I kind of know what's going on. We don't need to reference that anymore. Okay, so now if we click on these links, it's sliding. Yay. And if we want to slide slower, we can say Gumby duration equals, I think it's at milliseconds. Let's say Gumby duration. I'm just going to try it out with some milliseconds because it's too lazy to read. So let's say 600 milliseconds to go to 1. Yeah, that looked about right. Actually, let's say 2 seconds. Copy. copy, paste, paste. All right, so now these links should take 2 seconds between them. So 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Yeah, that's about right. Okay, so now these links up here, we definitely need to fix those. So let's see. First skip link, if we just get rid of the background color on that, it looks a lot better. But then we're also gonna have to take into account that this anchor, or maybe the skip link one, is gonna change color whenever it's hovered. Yeah, not the skip link class, but the actual anchor gets a background color. So we need to style up both of those. So we need to say skip link, background none, and skip link anchor, or actually we'll say hover and anchor. Okay, and we'll say background RGBA 000. Actually, we'll say we'll make these a little bit lighter. Give them like some opacity, some opaqueness, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Let's start off at 0.5 and see what that looks like. Refresh a bunch of times. Ooh, that is too opaque. Let's see, what's it doing? Okay, so the hover is getting overwritten by this selector right here. So let's just grab that selector instead and come down here and create something for it. All right, and then move our background down in there and delete that stuff. Okay, and save. Refresh a bunch of times. All right, that looks much better. Still maybe drop it down a little bit. Maybe drop it up a little bit. Yeah, 3 looks good. So 3.5. All right, so I mean, I think now we've got everything done except for those transitions, those toggles and switches. Yeah, everything looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now that I'm not gonna get into styling this up at mobile sizes. Basically, you just create a media query and you would just decrease the margins on this. And oh, our menu doesn't work, and I know why. All right, so if we come up here and we look at Gumby trigger, it says nav1 immediate children UL. Since we nested this row in there, it no longer has this as an immediate child. So when you say nav1 immediate child row, immediate child UL. Just in case somebody ends up like putting in, like just in case like you end up like wanting to put a row in here somewhere for some reason, I'm not sure why. But we'll just say the immediate child, so it definitely refers to that one, and we'll say the immediate UL of that unordered list of that. And then we'll save, refresh, and now our navigation works. Wonderful. And then also in your media queries down here, you would need to change. You need to reset all of this translucency. I don't know good words. I'm bad at words. Okay, so yeah, our parallax thing kind of looks like it's messed up a little bit or something. Yuck. What's it doing? Okay, it just messed up like where we went down to mobile and then we came back up. Okay, so that happens sometimes. It's usually just a browser glitch. All right, so let's get into these cool animations. So if we go over to Gumby UI and we click on components, toggles, and switches. What toggles and switches do, we went over this in a tutorial, but I'll go over it again real quick. Say we've got an anchor here, we apply the class of toggle to it, and we give it Gumby trigger attribute. Then we can set like something, anything with the ID of something. And what will happen whenever we click on that is that thing with the ID of something will get class active applied to it, and also this actual anchor will get the class of active applied to it. So if you wanted to like style that to like highlight it or something, like for instance over here with these links, I think that they're using toggles and switches. Maybe we can check real quick with inspect. Yeah. So yeah, I think anything like you click on or whatever gets the class of active. They're definitely using it for their drawers and modals. We go over it in a different tutorial. So anyway, just want to go over that real quick and let you know what's going on with all this. So whenever they click on this H1, so, well, I'm sorry. First, we'll go in here and we'll hide these paragraphs. So anything with the class of margins, article. So actually, we could go up here and just put it in there, but then it's gonna like start looking like a big cluttered nested mess. So instead, since we know these are only paragraphs we have, we'll just put them down here just so you can see it better. So we'll say these paragraphs we want to, since we're using Chrome, I'm going to use the WebKit prefixes for all this stuff, but feel free to use like a prefixer, or I don't know if Compass or Bourbon or any of those places will automatically prefix this stuff for you. It would be nice if everybody would just start using that auto prefixer thing. That thing's so cool. Like it pulls from like the Can I Use database, and it'll just apply the prefixes that you need. And you can set it to like go back like to whatever browsers you want. So if you wanted to drop support for Internet Explorer 7, you could. If you wanted to drop support for Internet Explorer 8, if you didn't like Safari version 5 or whatever, you could like, exclude that or include whichever ones you want. Anyway, the auto prefixer thing is awesome. It's the future. So get hip, kids. So anyway, for right now, we're going to use the WebKit prefixes for all this stuff. So just for simplicity's sake, but feel free to go to caniuse.com and figure out what you need to use to hit the browsers you want for this. So we'll say for this p tag, all these paragraphs on the page, say WebKit transform scale 0, maybe. All right, and that just makes it so small it's unseeable by the human eye. And we'll also set the opacity to 0. Now, if you're observant, you'll notice that there's still this big gap underneath there. And the way we're going to fix that is we're just going to say margin top negative, let's say like 100 pixels. We're doing the lazy way, so it's not really going to be centered, and you'll have to know how tall your text is going to be, probably. So we'll say 80. Okay, that looks about right, doesn't it? Yeah, that looks about right. Okay. So, so now, like, whenever we click on this H1 here, first, let's go ahead and give these H1 tags a cursor of pointer, just so that just so they look all clickable. And we'll do the same thing for these paragraphs whenever they pop up, so that we can click them to show the header text again. Okay, so refresh. All right, cool. We've got these big clickable buttons. So what I want to happen is whenever you click on these H1s, they toggle. So we apply the class of toggle, and then we say Gumby trigger, and we're trying to trigger this P element here. We don't want to trigger them all because we don't want to like be showing all of these at the same time. All right, so what we're going to do is set this Gumby trigger here to be this p tag and only this p tag. And I think probably the easiest way to do that is just to give it a class, and we'll say maybe something like p trig or p tog. And since we're going to be doing this to the other ones as well, and we want it to be a unique thing, we'll give it p tog 1. So we'll say class p tog 1. Okay, and then we'll refresh. And now let's go ahead and just inspect real quick. And we can see the class of ptog1 there. If we click on it, both of them get active. Okay, so now that we know that, and if we click on it again, it turns it off. So now that we know that, what we can do is come in here into this, we can say ptog1 active. And we can actually just nest that there, because we'll end up using this tog1 thing for something else probably. So we go with the and in front of it, so whenever it comes out, it'll say ptog1 active. Your big ugly selector. All right, now we can do WebKit transform scale 1 opacity 1. And just keep refreshing forever. Am I watching it? Yeah. Refresh forever. Oh my god, come on. Am I doing something wrong? ptog1? Oh, I said ptog1, not just tog1, so it's p. Okay, I'm stupid. Let's go over here and just change this to tog1, because I only use this tog1 class a few, like this tog stuff a few places. I'll just refresh. Alright, there we go, cool. And I'm not sure if like we need to get into animations and stuff. Maybe we can just do transitions. Or transition 400 or all 400 milliseconds ease. So maybe this will just do that over 400 milliseconds. Sure enough, it did. Alright, we don't have to do all the keyframe animation stuff. Might do a tutorial on that some other time, but for right now, we don't need to do that. Okay. So whenever that hello Gumby thing has been clicked, if we click up here at the top where the p tag doesn't cover it up, you can see it comes in, comes out. Cool. Let's do the same thing with the h1, except opposite. So let's just copy that, get rid of this margin top since we don't want to adjust that. And then for the scale, let's set it to 1. And down here, we'll set the scale to 0. And for the opacity, we want the h1 to be there already whenever they come onto the web page. Okay, so we need to apply the class of tog1 to this this h1 over here. Now I wonder if where it automatically applies the class to or if it automatically applies the class to toggle, if it's going to add it and then remove the active class immediately. So let's see. It did not. Okay, and now whenever they click on this P class, we want to say, we want this to be toggle as well. And we're going to say Gumby trigger, and now we'll get that header. So we'll just toggle them again, both of the same ones. Pretty slick, pretty slick. All right, so now let's go and I want to bump this up just a little bit more. Push it up there like 20 more pixels so it's more centered, I guess. Look at that. And I actually want this H1 to be pulled up just a little bit. So margin top maybe negative 15 pixels. And then negative. Alright, so how does all that look? Push that back down, maybe to 90. Look at that. So now what we can do is go down and do that to the rest of these. You see how they're not doing anything now? Now we just need to go down and do that to the rest of these. And over here in our CSS, what we can do is just copy that a couple more times. Just say tog2, or tog3, sorry. And then tog2, tog3. Save, come over here. Let's just copy these classes and all this stuff and apply it to this h1 and just replace ones with 2. Do the same thing here. Grab this p class and trigger stuff, which I think is the same stuff actually, and do the same thing, 2, and paste, and 3, sorry. Why do I do that? Okay, and 3, alright. Counting to 3 is hard, man. Alright, so boom, boom, and like we see where that one's the text. If we scroll up here, that one's still the header. Click on that one, doesn't affect that one.
There's a lot more you can do with Gumby, but hopefully this series gave you a pretty solid overview of its workflow. To learn more about Gumby, check out GumbyFramework.com and the Google Plus community, and as their website says, you simply have to try it. My name is Corey Simmons, and from all of us here at Tuts Plus, thanks for watching.